What is it, guys? Welcome back to some more PHILOSOPHER 2, Governments and Grievances. Let's get right into it. Hey, Dad, can we talk? Marcus, where's Dad? He went off to brood somewhere, I think. Jennifer's searching for him. I have like half a water bottle here. I can already feel the dryness. Your mother's words really upset him. No kidding, brood is not a word I generally associate with Dad. I guess everyone saw the fight. I don't know what to say. I'd heard some history from Pythia, but I'd never imagined that what it must be like for you. How are you holding up? My feelings are complicated. Dad and Mom were always different. I love him, but I look up to her, you know? When she first got into politics, I rooted for her, even if it meant she was away a lot. I thought she could make a difference, but now I don't know. Dad and I have gotten closer, and she's just not the same. When you see each other, the cameras are always right there. Like, it's more about appeasing the family values crowd than spending time with me. What about you? Is your family perfect? We've always been close all my life, but as you said to Locke, nothing is perfect. I've got an older brother, Regis. He's probably more intelligent than I am, if only. If only what? I'm not sure what your life was like, but my parents, they had to make some hard choices. As the oldest, Regis was the one that was supposed to be sent to a fancy school, even with tuition rates back then. My parents couldn't afford to send us both, but Big Brother wanted to make sure I had a shot, so he decided to enlist instead. Did well for himself there, Lieutenant General now, in charge of a whole division. He even helped provide funding and security for our portal research, but he never wanted to enlist, not originally. I always wonder what he'd be up to if things had been different, if more options had presented themselves. I owe him so much. Can you imagine, Ari? You've benefited so much from knowing these philosophers. Imagine a world where everyone reaps the fruits of that wisdom. That's what Pythia wants. What she's been working so hard for, sacrificed so much for. We're so close to achieving our dreams. I know, as much as I hate it, I should probably leave Dad to Jen. The sooner I get Mom out, the better for all of us. I'll check on him later. Of course. Let me go get a water, bro. Hold up. Hold up. Okay, I'm back. Pumpkin? How is he? Not sure. Jen's looking for him. Well, perhaps some distance is for the best. I know I was harsh. I was caught up in the moment, and he always so cheerfully disconnected from everything. It drives me crazy. And his notes were like Twitter. If every tweet hit you in the face. He can be a lot, but he's also grown a lot. Has he? Doesn't show it. Have you given him a chance to? Honestly, this is just like the issue with politics. Everyone talks past each other. So your perspective hasn't changed, Ariadne Jones. I'll admit the debates have been interesting. Everyone here believes in the value of ideas. They listen and reflect. But then Mom reminds us how things work in the real world, which will never stop being depressing. All philosophers so far have been pretty different. True. But this one perhaps more so. What? Is he not human? A talking deer or something? Give me but a moment to retrieve him and you'll find out. Well, that's definitely a human silhouette. Bummer. Who are you? Why are you standing in the shadow of that pillar? Okay, it gets mysterious. For too long, governments have been complicit in the exploitation of the working class. The world needs a hero who will speak truth to power, who will put corporate fat cats in their place. Okay, who's the Batman one? I knew he was talking like Batman. I am no Batman. Batman is a corporate fat cat. I am the fearful whisper in a boardroom, the bane of injustice, the start of the uprising against a corporate oppressive system. I am Karl Marx. Oh my fucking god, not Karl Marx. I forgot his ideology, but regardless, I studied him. Oh, no, Arbiter, I have to object. Yeah, I fucking remember who he is now. Communist. One citizen, I remember who he is now. Marx is communism, and communism is an economic system.
Nonsense.
Whoa, oh, wow. We're nonsensing already? You will not regulate me out of this discussion, Senator. State and economy cannot be considered separately. They are conjoined twins. They come into the world together. Fate's bond from the start. Bound from the start. Fate's bound from the start. I see. Born in 19th century Prussia, Marx became stateless and traveled throughout Europe to spread the philosophy he wrote in Das Kapital, and later the Communist Manifesto. His ideas became a flashpoint in the Cold War with communism and ideological goal of the Soviet Union. You already have some familiarity with my ideas. Impressions no doubt shaped through the lens of that conflict. I relish this opportunity to make my case anew, to fight for justice once more. This should be interesting. Manifest your manifesto, Marx. When private entities control the means of production, the relationship between employer and employee is unavoidably unjust. Workers must sell their labor in order to meet their basic needs. Denigrating? Does that mean disintegrating? Denigrating? Business owners use cheap labor to benefit themselves. Every time, bro. This accumulated power makes such owners the real ruling class, turning any system into an oligarchy of the burgess. So it's clear. Boise State? No. Bausch's. We need communism. Hold on. Maintaining communism requires rethinking government, and maintaining a government requires rethinking capitalism. Otherwise, all systems become more tools for the Borges. I don't know how to say that word. Yeah, define these words, please. Okay, can we review these terms just to be sure we're on the same page? An oligarchy is a small group of people who control everything. Okay, oligarchy of the rich. Yeah, that's... Okay, no, can we go to Bourgeoisie, whatever. The proletariat is the working class, that's me. Those who sell their labor to survive, on God. And the bourgeoisie, and the property and business owners who have the resources to and will to purchase the labor of others. I can't say that fucking word. Oh, so I'm not the only one struggling. Bourgeoisie. So that's how it's pronounced? Bourgeoisie. I always said bourgeoisie. How come bourgeoisie? I can't say the word. I can't. Look, she's struggling too. It was amusing. It sounds like a pasta bourgeoisie with cheese. I think I'm getting hungry again. Well, however these words are pronounced, my questions will be the same. Very well, Ariadne. Why don't we begin? It establishes how capitalism is exploitive from its very founding principles. It shows that the imbalance in power is unacceptable, degrading, and humiliating. Ooh, excuse me. This establishes that the power dynamic of capitalism will only worsen over time. It shows how capitalism distorts politics and government. Rather key to my overall argument, I believe. You granted an argument that there are serious flaws in capitalism, but I don't see how that alone leads to we need communism.
Nonsense.
I'm just gonna skip the word completely. I'm not gonna lie. They will use their existing power and influence to undo any limitation on their power. We can only prevent this by putting power entirely in the hands of the workers. Yes, only under communism can everyone's needs be met. That if we prevent the inequities of capitalism, society would be better off. We could guarantee every citizen the resources they need. The workers have nothing to lose but their chains. Communism must be implemented. But how? Excuse me? How would we distribute the resources and wealth as needed? All the goods we produce, they're concentrated in different places, right? One place produces shirts, another chairs, another makes bread, another catches fish. How do you get the fish to the shirt people and the chairs to the bread people? Even if we believe this system is better than capitalism, we need some idea how it would actually be implemented. The world is complex, and trying to reorganize it even more so. Did I read that right? And trying to reorganize it even more so. Okay, because rebelling is easy. Governing is hard. Rebelling is most certainly not easy. Attempts to nail down and critique a specific implementation of communism are nothing more than utopian navel gazing. We must understand the overarching issues in capitalism and how necessary the alternative is. So you're conceding you have no idea how this could actually work? No, I'm saying there are several ideas thoroughly explored by my colleagues and successors. I shall illustrate one historical approach. The most in tune with the spirit of a council of workers chosen from qualified work groups within and will inform the vanguard what is best for the proletariat. All industries and trade will be nationalized, coordinated to meet the needs of the populace. The Vanguard Party will also be responsible for the political education of the public to dispel the cultural status quo taught by the... I'm not saying that word. Thus a successful communist state will be established. You see, with a centralized government, we can distribute goods and resources to those who need them. This course of action was implemented by Lenin as the foundation of what would become the Soviet Union. Indeed, Lenin believed a clear rule of the proletariat was the only way to protect workers from the emergence of a new... You thought I was playing. The vanguard is an essential tool in establishing that rule. Although, wasn't the original phrasing the dictatorship of the proletariat? I thought it best to avoid political trigger words. Marx, you are a walking political trigger word. Trying to hide that you're arguing for a dictatorship isn't a good look.
Nonsense.
A dictatorship of the proletariat, you petty Borges. Borges. Not an individual. Absolute power, yes, but in the hands of the workers. I'd like to ask some questions about that. Very well. I can assume the man still Lenin for a bit longer. Let the navel gazing commence. The most in tune with the spirit. This is the seed from which the revolution will grow. The vanguard, the first line of attack, and the first front of defense. Front of defense? This explains how the revolution will involve the whole of the proletariat. This is the question that prompted you to ask for a system, is it not? Here we establish how we direct resources for the benefit of the people. A nation is a large, complex affair, but when the state controls the resources, they can efficiently distribute them to the people.
Nonsense.
It seems bold to us. Wow, you're gonna help me assume the state will be effective at managing resources. The Soviet Union saw famine and long lines during its so-called planned economy. Historical context is useful, but we should not be chained to it. Failures can be learned from. Technology has advanced much beyond Lenin's time. We can still posit the state and is best able to distribute goods as needed. Sorry, Pumpkin. I guess I felt compelled to air some old Cold War beef. Old beef's kind of moldy. Nationalizing industry means taking production out of the hands of industrialists and into that of the state. By cutting off the avenues, whoa. Okay, sorry, I just had a realization of who was saying what in the real world, and it's kind of crazy, because never mind. Use to benefit only themselves. You can redirect those efforts to the benefit of the people. This explains how the last vestiges of the old system can be removed. When immersed in an ideology, people begin to think of the principles governing the system as just and right. Hierarchies that are far from natural, of class, race, gender, and more, disguise themselves as such. They must all be dismantled. Sukuna. Labor cannot emancipate itself in the white skin where in the black it is branded. What? The vanguard must help the people identify these entrenched ideas and undo their effects. Where do I get efforts from? Capitalism is not just an institution of bureaucracy, it is an institution in our minds. Active efforts must be made to undo this sinister programming. Reprogramming people sounds awfully sinister in itself, Mark. That's the programming defending itself. This means teaching workers they have to inherit value, that they shouldn't sell their labor to oppressors for a day of bread. It may be an uncomfortable process, but it is necessary to fix the damage immersing capitalism can do. I'm gonna let them talk for a minute. The steps I have described lead us to this end. First, we led the people in revolution. We established a framework to protect the power of the workers. We seized the resources for the people, robbing the capitalists of their ability to subvert them, and cleansed our minds of the corporate hierarchies of the past. In this way, communism will become the standard, no longer a precarious thing that must be defended at every turn. Establish a communist state in 4 easy steps. It is Lenin's step-by-step flow of the revolution is fascinating. With luck, I discuss how difficult it is for any revolution to result in the desired system. Lenin was trying to solve that problem. The question is, would any of it actually work? Well, given this was proposed by a leader of a fallen empire, history probably illustrates that. At least one way is clear. If only I hadn't fallen asleep during. Early on, any communist state will be delicate. Some must step up to defend it. If no one actively protects the gain of workers, a new will emerge to replace the old. Borges. My dog. I was waiting for her. I mean, I'm not even bothered by her bark anymore. I just know it's gonna happen. So I was right! But Marx, you said the only way to protect the worker is if the music stops. I know I was right. Is to place control of the system in their hands. Appointing a vanguard to rule seems to directly contradict that.
Nonsense.
Fuck. I see what you're getting at, but I do not believe Lenin would. Lenin would say that that statement makes it clear the vanguard will extend the people's will. Now, if you were to find a crack in that ideal. Okay. Okay, so I use this empowering the working class. The vanguard's focus on organizing the revolution separates from those working in the field. Establishing a council is essential to ensure their efforts remain aligned. Once the vanguard has secured a foothold, they must seek guidance. This should come from the council restricted to Wait, if this council exists to create the guidelines, what happens once the guidelines exist? Then they exist, and they must be adhered to, lest class enemies attempt to exploit the discord. There it is. Listen up, Lenin. I am still Marx. I have no desire to participate in debate role play like the arbiter. I wish only to represent my colleagues, not become them. Feels like I like every commitment. No, I can respect that. From the top, then. Nonsense! Marx, over and over you've said power must stay in the hands of the workers. But Lenin's agents of the people are highly suspect. Everything workers want has to go through them. The vanguard supposedly interprets and enforces the will of the people from discussions. But what limits interpretations that give them more power? A morally bankrupt vanguard could straight up lie, smearing workers who protest this capitalization. No matter what they do, they have an excuse. It's all for the people, right? Destroy them, Adney! Metaphorical violence only, please. But yes, well observed. Is that the extent of your remarks, Marx? Mark? I don't like that they did that, but it's funny. Without any checks on their power, the vanguard could demand anything. They could demand obedience. They could demand tribute. They could even demand you to shave that beard. This dictatorship of the proletariat becomes a plain old vanilla dictatorship. The workers have no real power at all. These are all valid observations, Ariadne Jones. Conflicts we saw through Lenin's career accelerating during the rise of Stalin. Leon Trotsky called this the degenerated workers' state, a state in which the working class's democratic control has fallen into the hands of bureaucrats. And of course, he was exiled and assassinated for making such an observation. Worse still are distorted worker states, such as North Korea, in which the worker never had any real control at all. Such bureaucrats see the world as a mere object of their action. Well, there we have it. Communism doesn't... Nonsense! You go too far, Senator. Using such failures as an indictment. Hey, some of these voices I choose really hurt my throat. Pause. I'm not gonna lie. Pause. Plenty of democracies struggle. Capitalism has faltered many times, yet the petty bourgeois still defend such systems. Ultimately, though, the structure Lenin created was ripe for abuse. There is a clear opening for oppression to take a new form, but systems can be iterated on. iterated on, changed while the core goals remain. Let us examine a different approach to communist ideal, one starkly different from the proposed by Lenin. Hey, bro, you should have been lost. Like, I ain't gonna lie. You talking some different approach. It's the same approach, just lose. The economic goal is the same, but the structure couldn't be more different. Communism is the riddle of history solved, and knows itself to be the solution. But there are many paths, trod and untrod. We could take it to our goal. That is hurting my throat. Indeed, the conquest of bread. Peter Kropotkin laid out the core principles of arachno-communism. His approach is less implemented than Lenin's, though it was a central philosophy during the Spanish Civil War. It's probably less implemented because it's somehow even less viable. We've come full circle back to Confucius' dream of everything working out if people were just nice to each other. You said you didn't hate Confucius. He had some nice thoughts, but you know what? Let's not repeat ourselves here. Go and ask your questions, Adney. It establishes the abundance of resources that make arachno-communism possible. Consider some basic numbers. We'll begin with food, a necessity for all people. In your present day, humankind produces enough to feed 10 billion people, far more than the global population. There's no need for any to go hungry. Jesus. Prices most cannot afford. But even if that's true now, the world's changing. Won't we eventually exhaust our food supply and housing? Such has been predicted for decades. Our advances have always been greater still. I guess we can't really prove the future. Would be nice if he's right about this, though. Can you clarify this for me? Kropotkin was referring to advances of his time: the plow, the engine, irrigation. Each time increased humanity's ability to produce 100-fold. Over the last century, technology has advanced even further. Automation, algorithms, the internet. Our abilities outpace even our own imaginations. We could easily provide for all. Okay. Everything up to this point supports this statement. By following the steps Kropotkin laid out, we can organize a communist society without a central authority. It's just that easy. Peter Kropotkin and Vladimir Lenin both were communists, but they envisioned such different worlds. There are documented conversations of the two of them yelling at each other, in fact. Well, mostly Lenin yelling at Kropotkin. Lenin yelled at many people. Now shall we continue and see if you can find any excuse to yell at me? Okay, sure, let's get our nonsense on. This is gonna kill him. I just gotta figure out how. It establishes why we have not already seen the elimination of societal ills under capitalism. We save too. Every time that text speed up. The result of collective efforts and production should be. This shows why it's immoral on a fundamental level for resources to be controlled by anyone. Locke, for example, believe owning something is the result of mixing your labor with it. Accepting that definition, can anyone truly say that what they create is the result of their labor alone? Well, theoretically, everyone in that chain was paid for contribution. Even when the true that amounts to a few coppers to demean us and to justify severing us from the whole. All comes from all. So all should be for all. That will result in fighting, sir. No matter what the business owner claims, nothing in this world is the product of one person. Everything is built on all that came before. So it should belong to all, with those most capable of overseeing production. Alright, I gotta take a break from reading, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna save my voice for the nonsense. Or I mean, I can talk my regular voice. It's just Marx's voice is just kind of hurting. Some strange spell. Don't let the arbiter hear all this magic, bro. Marx, can we review how business owners deal with excessive production? Of course, they hoard the surplus. And why do they do this? They believe it better to limit the supply than provide goods to those who cannot pay. This is one of the major sins of capitalism. Humanity is a means, not an end. Sounds pretty gross, absolutely. It sounds pretty gross. Absolutely not behavior you'd want to emulate. Pity, arachno-communism falls into the same trap. What? Marx, the ideal here is that no one controls distribution. That all necessary exchanges happen through mutual aid. But that also means I can't talk. Damn. But that also means no one's checking the process. No one's making sure it's fair. Each and every transfer is individually negotiated, and all negotiating self-interest is in play.
Nonsense.
There's no need for self-interest when resources are abundant. Oh my God, you're talking like a person. When you have 1,000,000 blankets, what do you gain by refusing to trade one or even 100?
Nonsense.
Can you honestly say with all the random things that happen in the world, we'll never be short of something we need? Medicine for an outbreak, fuel for an outage, baklava for a baked lava. What? Actually, don't bother. Because you establish ample resources to do nothing to stop such manipulation. When true scarcity is eliminated, people invent some to give themselves an advantage. Just like in unfettered capitalism, free trade is the secret core of arachno-communism, and with the same core comes all the same pitfalls. Nothing stops me ignoring the public goods for my own sake. Nothing stops me holding up resources to get more out of my fellow comrades, and most damningly, nothing stops the emergence of a new bourgeoisie, one that subverts the system through clothes instead of through money. Kropotkin might just break the oligarchy of the rich, but who can break the oligarchy of the stitch? That was good, I ain't gonna lie. She cooked. Oh my fucking God, she cooked. That wordplay was awful. You spent too much time with your father. Don't listen to her. She's hating. You can produce terrible wordplay on my... I can produce terrible wordplay on my own, mother. Terrible wordplay and yet solid arguments. Indeed, I will have to share your assessment with Kropotkin at the next Communist Party. Capitalism's insidious roots are difficult to purge. Its resilience is almost admirable. So you admit it's strong? It's the stronger system? Resilient does not mean good. Tell me, Senator, even if capitalism remains the preferred system of the world, what will happen as machines replace more and more jobs? Manufacturing has long been dwindling. Soon trucking, farming, analytics, all will be automated. Would you condemn those who performed these roles to poverty? If they retrain for other fields, will those fields not be flooded beyond capacity? The supply of labor far outstripping demand. The production of too many useful things results in too many useless people. The burden passes to you, Ariadne Jones, whether you want it to or not. We must find solutions to the problems I described. We can no longer be so easily stripped of our dignity. Thank you for your time, Marx. Hey, get him the fuck up out of here, bro. Mask off. Fuck it, mask off. Alright, guys. Thank you for watching. Let's get to the save point, obviously. Hey, status report. What's going on in there? Still a no-go. She's being even more stubborn than usual. Her actions completely scrambled the timeline. What? And you've seen her poll numbers. She can still get the job done. Yes, of course she can. Just don't forget what we've put on the line. Never will. Just be careful, okay? You too. And eat something healthy. Stress burns calories. I'm hanging up now. Baby carrots. That was weird to say. Alright, guys. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. And